Sri Sri Gorni Thai presiding Gorni Thai deities of the 340 West 55th Street Temple alongside Sri Sri Radha Govinda and Nara in Baltimore, Jagannath Baladev. So I joined there and I took my initiation vows before Radha Govinda, Gorni Thai, Jagannath Baladev, and Subhadra. And for 3 short-lived years, 1978 to 1981, as a 19, 20, and 21-year-old young man, I had the opportunity to serve Sri Sri Gorni Thai, and along with about 60 other devotees, 30 men, 30 women, going out every day on book distribution. And it was super powerful. I remember Mongol Artiques in the temple room. They were saving money, didn't turn the heat on. The temple room was like maybe 55 degrees. And after 25 minutes, the kirtan and the conch would be so ecstatic that you would just be in a t-shirt and you'd be completely dripping with sweat because it was just so fired up. So these deities are very, very special because they preside over the heaviest city of Maya in the world, perhaps the most important city in the world. Certainly from the transcendental point of view, Prabhupada began the Hare Krishna movement there in New York City. We know the story that Srila Prabhupada was frustrated beginning the Hare Krishna movement in India in the 1940s and 1950s because in the post-British era, the main thing on the minds of people in India was industrialization. Even the Prime Minister at the time said that the problem with India is religion, and we're going to make the factory the new temple, like that. So Prabhupada's idea was that he would go to the West and turn the Americans and Europeans, the white men, into devotees, bring them back to India and make the leading intelligentsia of India rethink the Vedic culture, which is the culture of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that's what happened. So, as Prabhuji Ramachandra was mentioning, that Prabhupada started the movement by performing Harinam Sankirtan. Actually, the New York Times coverage of Prabhupada's chanting on the Sunday, the 9th of October, 1966, 10th October, with the nice article and the photographs, said, "This marked the beginning of my movement," this coverage by the New York Times. So, Kali Kalir Dham Nam Rup Avatar, Parichanaya Sadhunam Vinashaya Traduskritam, whenever and wherever there's a decline in religious practice and a predominant rise of irreligion, or the faithful and the righteous or the devotees become put into difficulty, and the demoniac and the atheistic gain strength, then it is time for things to be corrected. In this Kali Yuga, the worst of ages, Krishna has appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the same Krishna in Balaram, the same Krishna, Rajendra Nandana say, Sachi Sutta Hoilo say, Balaram Hoilo Nitai, Krishna and Balaram, Prabhupada commenting on this beautiful song by Srila Narottam Das Thakur, said that Krishna and Balaram came with armies and weapons. You know, the sea of blood in the 17 fights with Jarasandha created a ghastly river of blood, and those who were squeamish, you know, and we see Krishna was very expert. The demoniac persons would criticize him. "You, Krishna and Balaram, cowherd boys only, don't know how to fight like real Kshatriyas. Stand before me and I will teach you some very good lesson." I forget who exactly said that, one of them. So, as Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, they are coming with weapons, but their weapon is the holy name. And they're killing the demons by killing the demoniac mentality. In the Satya Yuga, the demons and the devotees lived on in different planets. And in the Treta Yuga, they lived in different countries. And in the Dwapara Yuga, as in the case of the Pandavas and the Kauravas, they lived in the same family. But in the Kali Yuga, the demon lives within the same person. So to extricate the demoniac mentality is actually a much more delicate type of fighting than face-to-face combat or with mystic powers, things like that. And for each and every one of us, that is our life's mission. For one who has controlled the mind, the super soul is already reached. One must control the mind and make it a friend. One who has an uncontrolled mind lives with the greatest enemy. So Lord Nityananda, as the subduer of the atheists, as in the case of Jagai and Madai, we are directed, again, Srila Narottam Das Thakur, if you actually want the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you have to seek the mercy of Lord Nityananda first. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, he, trying to get free externally from his material life, he was the son of very, very rich father and uncle. By today's standard, they were multi-billionaires. And he was their only heir. And they were to make sure that they tied him down. They had servants and bodyguards watching him. They arranged him to become married to a very beautiful lady. But he was just completely fixed on getting the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But being frustrated by the external barriers, it's described, he considered something in his mind. And he sought out the audience of Lord Nityananda. And Lord Nityananda ordered him to make a Sankirtan festival, which was so ecstatic that it caused Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to come and taste the bhav of each and every person present by taking a morsel of prasad, supervised and distributed by Lord Nityananda. Only those very fortunate, situated in the most confidential circle of love of Godhead, could understand what was doing. And after it was all said and done, Lord Nityananda gave the blessing to Raghunath Das Goswami that all the impediments to his achieving the highest position in spiritual life are now removed, and you will become one of the most confidential devotees in the inner circle of the Lord. So the inspiration to be taken from this is that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna, has come and he's personally giving the Dharma of the age, and not just ordinary Dharma, but Prema Dharma. It's described in Adi Leela chapter 7, Lord Chaitanya had 5 features, Chaitanya Charitamrita, that when Krishna came, the treasure of love of Godhead was present, but that treasury was sealed. But when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came with his associates, the Panchatattva, they broke open the seal and plundered the contents and distributed. Srila Prabhupada, speaking in Atlanta, Georgia, on the 3rd of March, 1975, seeing 3 in a row, beautiful brass Gorni tie, Caracas, Venezuela, Mexico City, then Atlanta. He was in ecstasy saying how Krishna, he demands surrender, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu makes no such demand. He simply gives love of Godhead. Take shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and be happy. In the Adi Lila, chapter 3, which is concludes in that description of the external reasons for the Lord's appearance, how Advaita Acharya was so powerful that he caused Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to descend. That chapter concludes with, in verses 77 and 78, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the inaugurator of the Sankirtan movement, one who worships him by sacrificing his wealth, his words, his reputation and intelligence is indeed glorious and is recognized by the Lord and endowed with his blessings. All others are to be considered foolish, because nothing can compare to a sacrifice for the Sankirtan movement. The subsequent verses go on to say that one who thinks that, I forget the exact number, 100 or maybe 1,000 Ashvamedha yagnas is equal to chanting of the holy name is a Bashandi and an atheist. Why? Because the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra awards prema, Braja prema. Kaviraj Goswami says that people are in general, they perform religious activities for some higher status in life. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can give much more than simply dharma, artha, kama, and what to speak of moksha due to his magnanimous character. And this is the main way to achieve our own desired state of self-realization, is by chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra in Japa and in Harinam Sankirtan. All other angas of bhakti and processes of devotional service are included and completed and perfected by the performance of Harinam Sankirtan. So it was suggested or asked of me that I should read something from the Bhagavad Gita, and I chose something in the 6th chapter, beginning on verse 30. Yo mam pasyati sarvatra, sarvam cha mai pasyati, tasya hamna pranasyami, sa cha me na pranasyati. The one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. A person in Krishna consciousness certainly sees Lord Krishna everywhere, and he sees everything in Krishna. Such a person may appear to see all separate manifestations of the material nature, but in each and every instance he is conscious of Krishna, knowing that everything is a manifestation of Krishna's energy. Nothing can exist without Krishna, and Krishna is the Lord of everything. This is the basic principle of Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is the development of love of Krishna. That is what we're doing. That is what Bhakti Yoga is. It is meant to develop love of Godhead. We're not so much concerned with performing austerities, rituals, charity, cultivation of knowledge. Of course, these things are part and parcel of developing our love for Krishna. But the target and aim is that. And love of Krishna is a position transcendental even to material liberation. At this stage of Krishna consciousness, Mr. Prabhupada describes beyond self-realization. The devotee becomes one with Krishna in the sense that Krishna becomes everything for the devotee, and the devotee becomes full in loving Krishna. This is attained by progressive chanting of the Maha Mantra. An intimate relationship between the Lord and a devotee then exists. In that stage, the living entity can never be annihilated, nor is the personality of Godhead ever out of the sight of the devotee. Premanjana Charaki Bhakti Vimochanena. At this stage, Lord Krishna never disappears from the sight of the devotee, nor does the devotee ever lose sight of the Lord. Such a yogi who engages in the worshipful service of the Supersoul, knowing that I and the Supersoul are one, remains always in me in all circumstances. Text 32. He is a perfect yogi who, by comparison to his own self, sees the true equality of all beings in both their happiness and their distress, O Arjuna. So the beautiful thing is, on that platform of love of Krishna, the natural state is to want to share it spontaneously with everyone. That is the position of the spiritual world, and especially the Loka Vrindavan. Srila Narottam Das Thakur says in his Prema Bhakti Chandrika, the moonlight of loving devotion, the love that the residents have, feel, or bear for Krishna is the true reality and the complete and thorough, perfect explanation of the absolute truth. Always strive to attain that love. And Krishna reveals confidentially in the third of the four seed verses in the 10th chapter, Ma Chitta Madhyata Prana, Bodhayantas Parasparam, Katayantas Tumam Nityam, Tushyanti Cha, Ramanti Cha. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are surrendered unto me. And what does Krishna say is the perfection of that relationship? They derive great, unfathomable, deep ecstasy in enlightening, real enlightenment that no computers, generated effects in any fancy movie could even hint to come to. One little hint or suggestion to everybody: try to minimize all the tic-tac-toe on your smartphone. That is not going to really, or keep in mind, if and when you ever do go back home, back to Godhead, shudder at the thought, there are no smartphones right now. Enlightening one another and conversing about me. Satam Pasangam Niryasam 3:25-25. In association with pure devotees, the topics of Krishna become all the more nectarian. Lord Chaitanya and Ramananda Roy worked like miners, extracting one valuable metal, one after the other. As the topics grew, they became so submerged, how could they perceive the end of the day? The servant had to come and say, the day has already ended. Have to take it up tomorrow. One who is Krishna conscious is a perfect yogi. He is aware of everyone's happiness and distress by dint of his own personal experience. The cause of the distress of a living entity is forgetfulness of his relationship with Krishna. What does Narottam Das Thakur say? The numberless different conceptions and philosophies of life are all symptomatic of the conditioned soul's false pride. Trying to understand them brings no real benefit, but only a pain within the mind. Actually, I'll digress in a little tangent here. We're going to get to discuss some of our experiences and give you a little picture of what we're doing with the slideshow. But in Union Square Park, they have many chess players. And there's one very nice gentleman named Morris. He's black body, but his body is like a fully manifest angry Lord Nrsimhadev. He's like 6'5" tall. And he came to like us. And 4 years ago, coming into the second year, in our established spot, one piano player at the beginning of the season tried to set himself up there every day. And Morris said, I'm going to handle this. He goes, excuse me. Me and you need to have a talk. Me and you need to have come to an understanding. come on there, bro, man, they're spreading peace and love. I'm spreading peace and love. There isn't any difference, you know. This is America. Everybody's entitled to your opinion. There's George Washington sitting on the horse protecting your rights. Now, I would want the common decency that you should respect that I'm also entitled to my opinion, right? First, this is an established spot. You don't come into an established spot and start, doing whatever you want without, checking with the people already thus established, okay? So, you say you're spreading peace and love, they're spreading peace and love. That's your opinion, I respect that. But from my side, I say, they're spreading peace and love. You, on the other hand, are giving me a headache. So just between me and you, so that we're clear, just like sunshine in the sky, okay? Because later, I don't want there to be any kind of a cloud or a fog. Because if that comes about, brother, there's going to be a big storm, and you don't want that. So just between me and you, this is your last day here. I got me 12 brothers in Newark, New Jersey, and you don't even want to think about opening up that book. Yes, sir. And he was gone. So the point is that distributing love of Godhead to the people, or understanding that everyone really is searching after Krishna, and everyone's real happiness in Krishna, and going out with faith in that principle and seeing it work, that even like this, most unlikely person named Morris became like now one of our number one supporters, free of charge, and so many other miracles. The cause of happiness is knowing Krishna, to be the supreme enjoyer of all the activities of the human being, proprietor of all lands and planets, and the sincerest friend of all living entities. Or anything contrary to that principle, as Morris rightfully pointed out to the errant piano player, you're giving me a headache. Following in the footsteps of Narottam Das Thakur, who 300 or 400 years ago enunciated the same thing, albeit in infallible Shastra. He knows, the devotee, that the living being is conditioned by the modes of material nature, subjected to the threefold miseries due to forgetfulness of his relationship with Krishna. Because one in Krishna consciousness is happy, he tries to distribute the knowledge of Krishna everywhere. And since he tries to do that, he is the best philanthropist in the world and the dearest servitor of the Lord. 1869. Nachitasman manusheshu kastyune priyakritama. And in other words, the devotee of the Lord always looks to the welfare of all living entities, and in this way, he is factually the friend of everyone. He does not desire perfection in yoga for his personal benefit, but tries for others also. He does not envy his fellow living entities. Prabhupada thinks that's so significant that he points it out. Here is the contrast, or the important difference, between a pure devotee of the Lord and a yogi interested only in his personal elevation. The yogi who has withdrawn to a secluded place in order to meditate perfectly may not be as perfect as a devotee who is trying his best to turn everyone towards Krishna consciousness. So that is the mission of Shishi Gauranitai, and the process of chanting Hare Krishna and distributing that to everyone is the main inner meaning, core, and actually the best activity of the Hare Krishna movement. Movement means it's moving forward, not backwards or sideways, but forward. And the Hare Krishna chanting, the Harinam Sankirtan, is the main way. So, like Prabhuji Ramachandra was saying, I had the good opportunity to come into the association of one Ayendra Prabhu. Actually, he came to New York in 1981, just after the sale of 55th Street, and there was a temporary residence at 846 7th Avenue, and then on to the present Skimmerhorn Street. And maybe some of you know he had a successful Harinam program. He was concerned that the Hare Krishna movement, even back then, had not kept up the momentum of performing public Harinam Sankirtan, so he took it upon himself to do that. And we made a very quick and strong found friendship, which lasted for a lifetime and eternity. And when he left New York to take up the mission to fulfill Prabhupada's desire to have 24-hour kirtan in Vrindavan, who here has ever been to the Krishna Balaram Mandir and seen or even participated, even for a few minutes or longer, in the 24-hour kirtan in the temple room in Vrindavan? Raise your hand. Very good. Was it a powerful experience?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And Ayendra Prabhu, of course, he, so to speak, researched, just like Lord Chaitanya asked the six Goswamis, Sanatan and Rupa, to excavate the lost pilgrimage places of Vrindavan. So many different authorized ragas, melodies, ways of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra that have been part of our Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, Ayendra brought to light, and I'm sure many of you can also attest to the great happiness of chanting those particular melodies and tunes and learning them and teaching others the same. So, of course, Ayendra left his body some 7 years ago, and in the feelings of grief and loss in that aftermath, I found that Krishna arranged and moved for me to leave Vrindavan. I was living there more or less full-time for 12 years, 1999 to 2011. We met Nam Ras towards the end of that period. He was on the Kirtan party. Before Ayendra left or after you came?
After.
After, yeah. And then come back to New York, where I'm from. I know that city, it doesn't scare me. I know how it works. And somehow by the mercy and arrangement of our great predecessors, the Harinam Sankirtan has been going now 7 days a week without a stop for almost 5 years. New York is easy because, as Prabhu was saying, when it's too cold, you can go in the subways and, we're allowed to do it. And, if you do anything in New York for more than 2 years, then you're taken to be a very old man, It's like a tradition, so what to speak of 5 years. So, I think at this time, Ananda Sankirtan can start the slide thing.
Yes.
And maybe that would inspire me to say other things.
You can also hand out the flyers.
We have flyers, yes. Harinam Sankirtan is very, very diversified. Of course, your being patrons and devotees of this temple where Sri Sri Gaurani died, the New York Sankirtan Generals are residing, is something very, very special that you can take advantage of. But Harinam Sankirtan, we should try to strain our brains how to perform it in public in a part of a time, place, and circumstance. Again, New York City affords a 365-day-a-year opportunity, but say here in the suburbs of New Jersey, is it possible to get permits in the different malls? Probably not. Maybe you could get a book table in there. That's Brihad Kirtan. But perhaps the different municipalities and boroughs and townships around this area in the warm weather, you could have weekend festivals or sitting down, combination walking. These things have to be explored. Okay, what you got? Well, I can't see, so I have to turn it. This is a picture of, we have 6 of us full-time, and we have different visitors. Huh? What?
Sorry, I can't hear
Do you have a microphone for him, that he, the handheld one? Yeah, not the Bargarunga, that's another Sankirtan, this is Mahotsa, this is Lata Caesar. These 2 are book distributors. We're distributing anywhere between like 75 to 150 books every day. So the Harinam Sankirtan is the source of the Brihad Kirtan. You know, the holy name is none different from Krishna, and Krishna, he is the source of the Vedas. So by worshiping and putting Harinam Sankirtan back into its rightful place of dignity in the forefront of the Hare Krishna movement, then book distribution comes back also. Our program, well, there it is. This is Union Square Park. Union Square Park is kind of the town square for New York City. This is the entrance to the subway over here, and it's one of the biggest subways in the system, maybe the 4th largest. And this up and down north-south here is like one of the main and nicest promenade walks from uptown to downtown. And Union Square Park is famous for anybody who wants to say anything, express anything, display anything, or make their voice heard is the place to go. Actually, what inspired me to start here was the Occupy Wall Street movement of late 2011 was squashed by the authorities on the plea of it was a health violation to have people camping out in sub-freezing weather. So they more or less knocked it down in December of 2011, but it resurfaced here in the spring of 2012. So, you know, very good. I think at that time, your family came over, and Kripa Moy and everybody, we're doing Harinam in the little Occupy Wall Street thing. Elsie remembers that. So there's always something, and because of being in one place, then it becomes known that if you want spiritual knowledge, you come here. This is because the Hare Krishnas are always here. There was one article in a New Yorker magazine, more or less highlighting Radhanath Swami and his preachings, and there was one little sentence there that the Hare Krishnas can be still seen in Union Square Park. So it's becoming known. Okay, next. What?
Some of your experiences you're talking about more.
Well, this is Morris. It's not a very good picture of him, but people become transformed. This Mahotsaha, he's from Hyderabad and very, very curious. He's an initiated devotee by Bhakti Vikash Maharaj, and Bhakti Vikash Maharaj remarked that you're not an Indian, you know, you're just like a Westerner who took his birth in India because he was into all this crazy rock and roll, heavy metal music, and was like a wild hippie, but he came upon the Harinam in Union Square, and now he's like one of the biggest book distributors in North America, and very, very sincere. He gets up very early, he chants intense japa, and it's just, you know, he's so enthusiastic, he was given the name Maha Utsaha Das. And sometimes the enthusiasm is so much that you have to be careful that things don't get broken or knocked over, and try to regulate it, you know. We take pictures of people who get books, and, you know, we make a big thing of khichdi for ourselves to eat, but then it more or less turns into a food for life. The Times Square subway. Anything else?
Yeah, last one.
Get involved. So we have a brochure. We can just say that our situation is a little interesting. That for reasons whatever, we're not able to live in the Brooklyn Temple, for Sri Sri Radha Govindar, that we're told the building is going to be sold or maybe not sold. We can't have people move in and then you have to move out, this and that. So we have our own apartment, and because our service is mainly in Manhattan, we've chosen to situate ourselves near the Bhakti Center. Radhanath Maharaj has given us very nice encouragement, and we attend the morning program there, this and that. So we have, various, let's say, expenses and needs that are not supported by the temple per se, because the temple wants to be separate. So that's the situation. So we have we have a very nice website called Yuga Dharma Ashram. We have flyers, and we also have not MTA cards, but these kind of cards. So you can look at the website and find out more. And the Raval family, Mayapur Chandra, Krishna Kumar, Arinamananda, they've been involved with us over the years. They could be, let's say, approached at any time. Well, I'm here just today, and I go back into the rat race underground there, waiting for the sun to emerge, and we'll go outside. There's also Nam Ras Prabhu here. He's our friend from Vrindavan, and you can always talk to him about our activities. Okay? Would anybody like to ask a question? Or share some realization?
I think you should tell more about how one can get involved, in a sense, like is there a website, is there a reoccurring donation somebody wants to do?
That is there. We want to be in a position where we can host more devotees. Like right now, we don't have a Mataji ashram. We're in an apartment that can, like this, that should do it. So we want to be able to have more facility to host devotees. Also, I know at the Brooklyn Temple, they did a kindness on us for Gita Jayati, that they were selling Bhagavad Gitas, and then the temple president endorsed the donating of those purchased Bhagavad Gitas to us. So, books is also very, very nice. Also, is Chinmay, where's Chinmay? There he is. Chinmay regularly comes in all the way from Sparta, New Jersey. Sorry I didn't mention you before. Chinmay is also one of our longtime supporters and friends. And as are his wonderful brothers, Rajendra and Bhakta Avatar, and their kids and nephews, Parth Patel and Christopher. Christopher was my first and only Mridanga player in the summer of 2012. So, all glories to your family. Yes.
You also tell them about the newsletter.
We have a monthly newsletter to keep you up to date on things. And Ananda Sankirtan here is a certified public accountant, and he likes to, I asked him to, and he's very good at numbers. Maybe you could say how many holy names have been chanted in 4 years, 11 months, and 1 day? At an average of 12 people per 6 hours.
Over 1 million.
Right, so, only 1 million.
Over.
Names, holy names, not mantras.
Oh, 16.
Srila Bhaktisiddhanta took a vow for 1 billion names himself. And,
Over 16.
okay. Sankhya Purvaka Namakana Natibi, that by numerical strength. So that's a very good way to conquer over the mind and speculation. Just do it. Don't think, just do it. Just add up the amount of service, and the cumulative weight of pure devotional service will eradicate all material desires and misgivings. Actually, actually, Mahotsaha, he was writing to Shivaram Swami. And Shivaram Swami said the very same thing. Just the more you do, the more that Lord Nityananda personally will remove all the material impediments. That is Nitai's mercy. Anything else?
What are the timings, Prabhu?
Timings. We go out every day from 1:30 in the afternoon till 7:30. Very easy to remember. And you're on the text message list now, so if anybody ever wants to know where they are, or you take his phone number. And if I look for sending us a email at the,
Yeah, you can message us through the website.
that's another nice thing, like if in the summertime, if anybody wants to come with their family, like on Saturday's the best day of the week, for so many reasons. You could come, participate in our Harinam. But again, what I was saying is that Harinam is for everyone. We need many, many Sankirtan leaders. You can make Harinam happen here in New Jersey. Yes,
Yeah,
this is my godbrother, Madan Gopal, by the way. Hare Krishna.
So I just wanted to, maybe we can, like you're saying, we could probably organize one of the Saturdays where all of us can just sign up and we can all go in a van or
Yeah.
something all together, make a festival out of it. And just so we'll have a party together and have more like relationship between the two groups, and then we'll also
Right.
learn how to do it and
Mhm.
feel enthused and then try to replicate some of that
Yeah.
energy here.
What we want to try to do more and more on Saturdays, like in the warm weather, is like 5:30, 6 o'clock, wrap it up and go where? To Times Square. That Times Square Harinam back in the day was just so unbelievable. From the 55th Street Temple, you'd have like 200. You ever go on one of those Shamakarishi?
Yes, yes.
Right. It made a heavy impact on the people, and it was such that everybody in the temple wanted to go out. It wasn't like pulling teeth, and everybody went in devotional dress, and like they had full Pajari Seva there, 3 devotees being Pajaris for each altar, for every artik. It was no joking around, the deity worship in Radha Govinda temple, and those Pajaris would like, okay, Prabhu, you do the service for me this week, and I can go out on the Harinam. You stay back and do the 8:30 arti, and I'll do it next week, It wasn't like, oh, Prabhu, I got to do the arti, I can't go out, Like everybody wanted to go out. You'll want to go out when that ecstasy is just so great, and you just, like you read in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, everybody forgot their body and mind, their home, and just floated in like nectarian love of Godhead. That is what we, as members of the Krishna consciousness movement and as initiated devotees, initiated into the Gaudiya Sampradaya, are meant to do. The life and soul of all transcendental knowledge that we read about in the books. This Sankirtan movement is the life and soul of all transcendental knowledge, a practical demonstration of the life and soul of transcendental knowledge right before your very eyes. If we came upon the